Good day everyone and welcome to a new market update, and today we're going to discuss altcoins as everybody is focused on altcoins right now and there is some confusion about which pairs we have to watch. So in this video I'm going to discuss which altcoins I'm watching, or at least how you should approach them in the current market sentiment. As we see that if we check it for Atom for instance, we are making beautiful all-time highs on the USDT pair, which is not granting you any entries at all. But when we zoom towards the Bitcoin pair, we can see that it is just starting up. So we have to combine those two charts, and we're going to do that through this video, in which we're going to dive in some altcoins that I've got high on the list, in which we can discuss which strategy you should deploy. So first, before we continue, please subscribe to the channel, in which that's helping me a lot to grow this channel towards a bigger audience, so we can give more content towards a bigger audience and more people to improve themselves. So what do we see? In this case we are watching the Atom chart. I am still heavily interested in even Cosmos and Polkadot platforms. You can also put Cardano on the list, but those are not an entry point at this point at all. One argument you can make is that it's currently just too high on the USDT pair. So when you're going to focus solely on the USDT pairs, you're going to look at daily price levels that are interesting for potential entries. So based on that fact, you don't see any entry at all, and here is why you're going to look at for potential entries on the USDT pair. However, if Bitcoin is going to do well and Atom is going to do well as well, but less in the USDT pair, that means that Bitcoin is outperforming Cosmos. So then you have to combine the Bitcoin chart and define the levels that you want to get it on through this pair rather than the USDT pair. So based on this construction, we still have to make a higher low on the trend here for Cosmos. I'm going to look at this range here, which is this previous level, so this block we have, and then I'm going to look at the block we have here for potential dips buying, and then we get the next impulse wave. So if we go back in time, we see, or I've said that we're seeing strength on the altcoins and we see them wake up. But the actual alt season will happen during the summer, when the entire market has made such a relative normal correction. And then the market starts to accelerate even more than what we see right now. And that's basically through the Bitcoin pairs. So when you're going to look at coins like Sealer, for instance, we have been discussing this on the live stream previously, in which I said, okay, we're still trending down, but what you overall see is that we are making a nice bullish divergence on the bottoming construction, right? So we lost this support, which is also the range support, and now we were ranging beneath. We flip back, we make this level again support, confirm the bullish divergence, make a run upwards. However, if we look at this Bitcoin pair, we can just see that we're barely from the bottom. So the actual strength, just like this move here, that is going to come at a later stage, probably from March or April, May. I guess April, May, that period again. It's going to come from that side. So what we're most likely going to see is we might be getting another run towards 60 sets, another correction, and then the real impulse wave like we witnessed here. What do you want to do? You want to accumulate those positions based on the Bitcoin pair. So what you usually do is that you're camping in Bitcoin. After those runs that we just had, you might want to accumulate some more liquidity. So if Bitcoin is going to correct, everything corrects with Bitcoin, and given that Bitcoin was the first runner, then Ethereum follows, then the major follows, and then small caps and mid caps follow, we are getting in that final stage in which small and mid caps are doing really fine, and then the cycle is a little over. So most likely we get an entire market correction, in which you want to have a little bit more liquidity in to be able to be flexible, as when Bitcoin corrects for 10 to 15%, usually the smaller the cap it goes, the heavier the correction will be on those altcoins. So most likely we'll get like 30 to 50% correction on the USDT values, which you can see here. For instance, Cedar, we just had a very big parabolic move, just like we anticipated previously. So if we get a corrective move towards any of these regions on sealer, that is a very healthy correction granting a higher low. So then we get this construction and then we start to accelerate again with an even heavier impulse wave at a later stage. So you, based on the USDT pair, you're not eager to accumulate them right now. But given the Bitcoin pairs, you want to have exposure to them, or you want to accumulate them through combining those charts. So at this point you see USDT pairs going into price discovery. So that's very hard to get an entry point from that unless you're using previous price price levels that are within that range or within that rally. So what you're going to do is that you're going to deploy your money based on Bitcoin pairs. So what you're looking at right now for Cedar is another higher low like we see here, and then you can see then it can start off with the impulse wave, and then you're going to look at reference points or take profit levels based on the Bitcoin pair. I'm going to dive more into this topic in the next weeks, but that is something to be aware of, that we just had a very first run of the altcoins, which is just minimal, and the actual mania on altcoins still has to come. So some other coins that I'm watching at this point that are showing the same structure is, for instance, Harmony. What we see here is similar to what we saw on Cedar. We do see a grind up acceleration, but given that we're currently into a resistance area, it is very likely that we're going to get a corrective move towards the range here, get a period like this, and then we start accelerating towards this range high and possibly even towards 180 sets. As then we flip the overall trend into a structure that we start making higher lows, so you want to gain higher highs as well. And when you combine this to the USDT chart, you get a completely different figure, as it's just ballistic already. But what we can read from the USDT chart is that we're making higher lows, higher highs, and are looking for a new entry point, which is here or here, in which you can start accumulating. So right now, the upside on the most of those altcoins are relatively limited. And then you're going to look at what are the reference points I can start accumulating those to be ready for the next impulse wave, which will be bigger than the previous one. Just like this impulse wave is bigger than this one. So the next one will be bigger than this one as well. So you want to position yourself wisely, and you do that by accumulating more liquidity right now. Be patient and look at reference points through the charts. Few other coins that I'm looking at, still the same with DIA. I have to erase the volume, or you can actually see it. Still facing resistance, might be making another drop down towards support here and then start accumulating, but when accelerating. When it breaks this level around 770 sets, I think we're going to run towards the area here. But you can see that the Bitcoin pair still has to wake up, while the USDT pair flipped every level and started continuing. What you want to see on DIA right now is a similar level or higher low, in which you want to look at this zone here for a higher low, and then we can see continuation. Another one that I'm looking at is Tomo. I'm not sure where the chart is. The chart is here. The idea is simply the same. However, we accelerated already towards this 1.618 Fibonacci level. Regardless of that fact, I'm still assuming that we get such a construction and then we start to continue. So I have to update this, but I'm looking at this range and maybe this range, but that's less likely for the new higher low construction, in which we start to increase the price towards $3.50 and possibly even $5.50 afterwards, given that the Bitcoin pair is just barely waking up, as you can see, and we're still consolidating. So if the Bitcoin pair starts to run towards the levels that we see here, we can see that the price is going 3x from here, which is granting the level that I just discussed, which is about $5.50. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think of it beneath here. Stay sharp, be patient, stay disciplined, don't FOMO, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back tomorrow.